simplifying your life doesn't mean like getting rid of everything and living with nothing. It's more of a pruning. If you think cutting off the dead branches, it's more of letting go of the things that don't serve you. It's more of cutting the fat. It's more of simplifying your routines and your schedules. You know, one of the biggest things is we've gotten to a point where a lot of us wake up rushed. Like we wake up, we have so much to do and we have to get out the door. We have to get our kids out the door. We have to get somewhere. We're going to be late. And so we live with this. We got to go. We're going to be late. Get in the car. Let's go. You know, it's like you putting that pressure on yourself and on your kids and on your family because you're adding all of that to your schedule. Now, you might have a job and you got to get your kids off to daycare or off to school or this or that, but you can rearrange your life however you want. You can change things. A lot of people think you need to have a 2-income household to live a specific way, and you really don't, because with the amount of waste that goes out, if you were to trim all of that, you'd be so surprised. You can go down to a 1 income. And if you did that, or a one, and then supplemented working from home, let's say one person goes to work and one person starts a side job at home to stay home with the kids and maybe homeschool. Like, you don't have to live how you've always lived. You can change it however you want. You would be surprised at how much waste actually goes out. Like when my husband and I, when we both worked, I calculated almost $1,000 a month was spent eating out. You know, it's like it happens, it adds up. And then another $500 a month was spent on gas for us both to drive. And then 2 cars with 2 car insurances. And then maintenance on both of those cars. You know, when you simplify and you do things, you just have to think more unconventional. Like, what works for you? If you're feeling burnt out and you're feeling like I can never catch up, I can never get ahead, I'm always behind, then you have to shift things. You have to reprioritize. And by reprioritizing, it's not just moving things around from one schedule. It's like, that's what, when people say I have to budget, they're taking a certain amount of money and they're moving it all over without letting something go or without adding more money in. So reprioritizing first, you let things go. Like, if you don't need a Netflix account, let that go. If you don't have to, you know, get your nails done every month, let it go. Like, learn to let things go to make room, and then you can reprioritize your life with what's most important. Because when you let go of what's not that important, it's like at some point you had to decide what's important and what's not. And what's not important, you let that go, at least for a time being. I'm not saying, like, I used to get my hair done every 6 to 8 weeks. It was expensive because it was blonde and you needed a special, you know, person to do it. Well, now I go every 6 months. I let it grow out. It's better for my hair. It cuts down on cost. I'm not as rushed every time to go get it. Yeah, so it doesn't look that great towards the end. But those are just sacrifices that you make. Now, you don't have to do that your whole life, but for whatever season you're in, if you're trying to reprioritize and gain control a little bit and have a slower paced life, it's like slower paced in a quicker way, because now you're focused, so you're able to get done so much more than you could have got done before, because you're not stretched all over the place. And the amount of time that we spend driving to places and driving here and there, you know, that takes up a large portion of our life. I started homeschooling my kids years ago, and one of the biggest reasons is we just didn't function well having to get up and be rushed to get out the door 3 to 5 days a week, or however many days they were in school. It was hectic. They were stressed out. I was rushed. I didn't like it. I felt like it backfired almost, because when your kids get home from school, a lot of times they're dehydrated. They had a long day. They're not focused, and they have a big pile of homework to do. So you get like this part of them that is exhausted. They're cranky. They're hungry. It's like this little sliver of time. And then you have to try to undo some of the things that they picked up in school. So if they're in school for however many hours a day, learning whatever, and then you have to undo all that, it's frustrating. And so I was like, I'm making this harder for my whole family. My kids just didn't function well that way. We like slow mornings. Slower mornings are, you wake up really when you want to wake up. It's sometimes my kids are up at 5 or 6 in the morning. Sometimes they need more rest. They sleep in. I let them. I don't make it a big deal. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. You're still sleeping. I let them sleep. It's important for them. It's important for their growth. And then we have a routine in the morning. If depending on when they wake up, it doesn't matter. They still do what they have to do. And that means make their bed, clean up their area, clean up their home. Their room, brush their teeth, have their breakfast, vitamins. My kids now are self-sufficient in the kitchen, so they know how to do things. And Swiffering, dusting, empty the dishwasher, fold clothes, they go for a walk, they do school. So it's like a morning routine, but it's not set. You have to have this done at 8 o'clock or whatever. It's whenever. If they decide that they sleep in and then they don't get done with their chores in school until 1 o'clock and they're like, oh, it's the afternoon. Well, I'm sorry, you slept in. So, you have to give them that freedom to say, well, do you want to wake up early and go to bed earlier? Ideally, that's better. But again, sometimes certain kids need more rest. I was a sleeper. I still am. I need a lot of rest. And I don't apologize for it. My son's the same way. He needs rest. So slow mornings, can be faster when they're not hectic. And so you're just simplifying life. You're cutting the fat. Again, it's clearing the clutter, the mental clutter, the emotional clutter, the baggage that you've carried from past relationships that you might still be carrying into your future that are causing like this inside turmoil. You have all of this turmoil going on every time you talk to that person or you're involved with that person. You're like, man, something's just not right. Cut the cord. Cut those cords. Free yourself. Like, liberate yourself. Little at a time, you're going to start feeling better and better the more that you do that. And sometimes it's just boundaries for a specific season. It's not cutting the whole cord unless it's a really toxic relationship or toxic friendship that you're dragging on that's a bunch of weight for you to carry around. Sometimes it's just boundaries for a specific season while you reprioritize your life and figure out, you go through your own list of what's important and what's not important. What credit cards don't you need? What things in your house do you not need? What things are triggering a past feeling or giving you anxiety of this is clutter, or I got to deal with this closet, I got to handle this. Like, when you're simplifying, you have to put some things aside, like put some people, hey, I can't hang out right now. I'm going through this season. I'm simplifying my life. They might be curious about it, but just take the time that you need to go through it. You're going to feel so much better. You're going to be able to run your race and really like you're coming up from suffocating. You're coming up to breathe. You're coming up for life. You're coming up for vitality. You're coming up for air. You know what it feels like when you're suffocating under the weight of stuff and emotional pressure and what people expect of you and what they think you should do, and you're trying to hold up all of this stuff. Meanwhile, you're out of shape. Your hormones are out of whack. You feel like junk. You can't sleep. You hate yourself. Like you're dealing with all of this stuff. Start putting up boundaries and telling and just letting people know, hey, I need to reprioritize my life so I can be my best for my spouse and for my family. You don't want to give the people closest to you this watered down person. You want to give them the most concentrated, purest person. And so if you're giving your time to other people, you're giving your time to social media, you're giving your time to Netflix, you're giving your time to people who don't really care about you, and then your kids and your spouse get this leftover version where you're exhausted, and you give yourself a leftover version because you're like, I'm too tired to go to the gym because I did all this other stuff all day. Well, you are choosing that, so you got to shift some things around. So first, you let some things go. You let those things go, and you shift around what's left. You can't just move things around from one place to the next, That's like organizing stuff without letting it go. You're just wasting time because you're just moving it from one place in the house to another place. And then you're thinking, oh, I'm winning because I just organized all this. Yeah, but you just moved it from a closet to a drawer. Like, you didn't win. Or you just bought organizers to organize your stuff. That's not winning. You got to let things go. This is part of coming up higher. This is part of I call it an organic modern lifestyle because you're tapping into really the organic ways of living in a modern way because we live in a modern era, So you are limiting the distraction. You are eating whole foods. You are like limiting all of that processed garbage from going in, all kinds of garbage going in, like even music. If you get down to like the pure frequencies, it's actually healing for your body. But if you're listening to all this chaotic garbage and this stuff that's on the radio now, you're causing inner chaos in your body and in your nervous system. So you have to really be mindful about what you're feeding your body, what you're feeding your mind, and and who you're allowing into your life. Sometimes you can let people in that will plant seeds of negativity and seeds of doubt, seeds of chaos, seeds of wickedness and destruction. So be careful on who you allow to plant seeds in your garden, because something somebody says might affect you, and you might start marinating on that, like, oh, this person says this, they, and that could have been coming from jealousy from that person. I've had that a lot in my life, where what they say, it's like on the surface, yeah, it sounds good, but it's like there's something nasty behind that. And sure enough, months later or years later, it comes out, the nastiness, and it's rooted in jealousy, and it's rooted in pride, and it's wickedness. You gotta be careful on who you share things with, and let those people, again, cut the fat, get them out of your inner circle. Remember, this is your race to run. It's between you and God. Your purpose is for you to do what God needs you to do on this earth in this time that you're here. That could look very different for many people. It could be, you need to care for animals. You need to care for the elderly neighbors. You need to, you have business acumen. You're artistic, you're creative. There's all kinds of different things that can end up being your ministry that God can do with you. But if we allow all of this distraction and fuzziness and chaos and unrest and stuff, some of it you can't do anything about, but some of it you can. So what I'm talking about is handling the things that you can handle, taking care of, getting your home in order, getting this house in order, taking care of and not apologizing for it either. If you need to take time to get this house in order, don't apologize to it. Like, I've had people, when I first started getting my health and my body in order, I had people close to me that were they were bothered by it. Like, you're in the gym too much, you're too obsessed with yourself. They would always say something like that. I'm like, well, am I being obsessed with myself? Because I would videotape my workouts to see the moves, mainly to see my form, and so I could look back to see my progress. And they would say, oh, well, you're obsessed with yourself. And the wrong person, they were jealous, clearly. And so the wrong person, I could be like, oh man, am I obsessed with myself? Should I not do this anymore? Is this vanity? No, stop that. You need to take care of yourself. Like, you have to take care of your body. So just self-discipline, get some things in order, and run your race. Unapologetically run your race. Do what God needs you to do, and be willing to simplify, bring it in a little bit, and you can elevate your life while you simplify. Like, I'm all about more of the good things, less of the lower version things. I want to elevate. I want to simplify, but I want to elevate. It's like, I don't want to eat, when I grew up, we had like a big, my parents used to buy that ice cream that was in the tub. Now, it's not even real ice cream. It's those big tubs to feed a big family, the huge tubs. So I would rather have premium gelato in a little bit than a big tub of ice cream, that's garbage. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to have less of the junk and more of the real things, the raw, the organic, the nutritious, I would rather marinate and meditate on one scripture or one paragraph than be like, I read a book. All year I read 12 books this year. Okay, well, what did you learn? Because some people will boast about that. Well, I read a book every month for the whole year. I'm like, well, I read one page over and over because that's where I needed to be. So it's not this race, it's slowing down, but moving quicker, because you want to take the information that you're learning and then put it into action. You don't want to just keep learning all this information, not doing anything. Take it and put it into action. So I hope this helps everybody.